Good morning. It's Friday, November 5th, Guy Fawkes Day in England. Happy almost blowing up your government day. I want to talk about global reach, since I mentioned England. This is global reach in both sense of it. I mean, the the ways in which the world comes to us and that we end up going out to the world, particularly as artists. So, somewhere around here, I have a stamp, I think it was given to me, that says Made in USA. So, if I were intentionally making my pots for an international market, I could stamp them all Made in USA. Well, I don't. That's ludicrous. I live in Lawrence, Kansas, and most all my pots get sold by me personally, and though I would love to travel, and I've enjoyed traveling in the past, it's not part of my business. Having said that, I do have pots in other countries. Uh, the ones in England, I either took there to be gifts, or British citizens happen to buy them in the United States and take them home, including one wonderful woman that sort of saved my morale at the Kansas City Renaissance Festival on the final Sunday when she came in and bought my most expensive piece and delighted in telling me that she was taking it back to England with her on the airplane the next day. So occasionally your work ends up in other countries. And sometimes you know about it, sometimes you don't. So I know that my work is in a few other countries: Canada, Norway, so forth. On the other hand, a couple of weeks ago at the Potters Guild, I got into conversation with a woman from India. I mean, she lives in Lawrence now, and she was delighting in telling me about how much her mother likes using my pots back in India. And I had no idea that I had any pots in India. I knew I had some pots in like Australia, but India. So I get to add another country to the list. So there's no great lesson from that, except if this is going to happen, you want your pots to represent well. You don't want it to be a crappy version of your work. So anyway, so that's my work more or less accidentally ending out in the other world. The other is the way the world comes to us, and this came to mind for two reasons. One, my wife used to teach an American Studies class where one of her assignments was to have her college students inventory their wardrobes. I mean, just what they had at college, not at home, but just sort of count it up, check the labels, estimate the value. And it was this relatively shocking exercise in our place in the world and what we value and how much we spend on what we value. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I bought a pair of pants that were made in Madagascar. And I believe it's the first item of anything I own that was made in Africa. And years ago, there was a photo exhibition up at KU, more or less documenting sweatshop conditions in China. And everyone was, oh my, and one of the things I pointed out at the time was that as hard as we were willing to be on the Chinese people in the manufacture of the things we need or don't need, we somehow valued Africans less, in that they weren't even worth exploiting. Or so somehow, either the infrastructure or the economics, somehow it wasn't happening. For whatever reason. And I realize Africa is a very large place, and there are a lot of infrastructure issues. Even if they could set up manufacturing facilities, we're getting the product out almost always involves a seaport, as we're finding now with the supply chain issues. And Madagascar is an island, so okay, they've got seaports. But it's this sense of where we are in the world, both as consumers and producers, as artists. And it could be an interesting exercise, particularly if you have kids, to go through all the clothes and check the labels, and maybe even find a globe or a map and show them where their T-shirt came from, or whatever. There are some things we're used to, but there are also some new surprises. The landscape is evolving. So, have a good day.